The small house was quiet at night, but not peaceful. Behind the thin walls, a woman cried softly, thinking her child was asleep. Every night was the same. She would wait until the lights were off, until the world outside was dark, and then the sound would come, the sound of a broken heart. Her sobs were not loud, but in the silence of the night they were sharp, like knives in the air. Her son lay awake in the other room, staring at the ceiling, listening. He always listened. He could not stop himself. He was young, but not too young to understand that his mother's heart was heavy. She was alone now. The father was gone. And since that day, the house had changed. It was not just empty of laughter. It felt colder. Even the air carried sadness. The boy wanted to cover his ears, but he never did. Because deep inside, he thought he had to hear her pain. If he listened, he was not leaving her alone in it. Sometimes, when the crying stopped, he imagined her whispering to herself. Maybe she said his father's name. Maybe she prayed. Maybe she asked the stars why her life had broken like this. But she never let him see her tears in the day. In the morning, her face was tired, but she always smiled at him. She worked hard, cooked, and tried to laugh when he made jokes. She was strong in the light, but fragile in the dark, and he knew it. The boy often thought, my mother needs someone. She needs someone to stand by her side, someone to hold her, someone to stop the crying. But then his chest grew heavy, because he was just a child. He could not give her what she had lost. Sometimes when he closed his eyes, he remembered his father's voice, deep, calm, and warm. His father had once told him, take care of your mother if I'm not here. At the time, the boy had nodded without thinking. Now the words felt like a weight pressing down on his small shoulders. He wished he could to ask his father why he had left. The truth was hidden, and nobody explained it to him. People said he had walked away. Some whispered he was dead. His mother never gave clear answers, only silence and tears. That silence was worse than any words. And so the boy watched her break a little more each night. But what he did not know was that outside their home, shadows moved. The world around them was bigger than he imagined. Beyond the broken family, beyond the pain, something was watching, something not human. One night, as the boy stared at the ceiling, he felt it. The silence was different. He turned his head toward the window. The curtain moved slightly, though the air was still. For a moment, he thought he saw a shape, tall, dark, and patient. His heart beat faster. He closed his eyes, thinking it was a trick of his mind. His mother's crying was softer that night, almost as if she felt it too, as if she was not alone in her sorrow. The boy whispered to himself, my mother needs a husband, but not like before. Something else is coming. His words were not loud, but the night heard them. For the next few days, the mother grew quieter. She smiled less, ate less, and moved through the house like a ghost. She carried sadness with her, and the boy wondered if she was slipping away. He tried to make her laugh, but her eyes only filled with water. One evening, as the sun disappeared and the sky turned blood red, the boy caught her standing by the window. She was staring at the stars, whispering words he could not hear. She raised her hand, as if reaching for something beyond the sky. That was when the boy realized her heart was not only crying for the past, it was calling, and perhaps the stars were listening. The nights that followed carried a strange feeling. The boy felt watched. He heard small sounds outside, soft footsteps that disappeared when he looked. The dog in the street barked at nothing. The air felt thicker, heavier, as if the house was sitting on the edge of something unseen. Still, his mother cried. Still, she held her pain. But her son began to feel a question inside his chest. What if someone answers her tears? The thought scared him, yet it also filled him with hope. And so the story began. The mornings in that house were quiet, but they were not warm. The woman woke early every day. She dressed quickly, tied her hair back, and forced a smile for her son. She tried to make life normal. She cooked breakfast, washed clothes, and sometimes even hummed an old song. But the boy saw the truth. He saw the shadows under her eyes. He saw the way her hands shook when she thought no one was watching. The house once felt alive when the father was there. There had been laughter in the kitchen, stories at the dinner table, and music in the evenings. But now the walls seemed to remember that happiness and echo it like a cruel ghost. Every corner whispered, something is missing. The boy wanted to fix it. He cleaned his room without being asked. He studied hard so his mother would be proud. He even tried to make small jokes at the table. Sometimes she smiled, but the smile was weak, like paper. It could tear at any moment. At night, she still cried. He never told her he heard. He knew she wanted him to believe she was strong, but every sob was like a secret message to him. I am breaking. I am alone. The boy began to hate the word alone. It was the word that described his home, his mother's heart, and sometimes even himself. He thought about the other children at school, how they had fathers who picked them up, who laughed with them, who fixed their bikes. He felt a fire burn inside him. Why did his father leave? Why did his mother have to carry this pain? One day he asked her. It was afternoon. The sun was falling low and the room was filled with a soft orange light. He said, "Mom, why did Dad go away?" Her hand froze on the table. For a long time she said nothing. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered, "Some things are too heavy for children." She stood up quickly, walked to the sink and began washing the same plate again and again. Her silence was worse than any answer. The boy sat there, fists tight, feeling smaller than ever. That night he lay awake again, but not only listening to her cries. He thought about the shadows outside. He thought about how the air felt different these days, how sometimes the lights flickered for no reason. He remembered the time the curtain moved though there was no wind. It was as if the universe was pressing closer to their home, watching them. He did not know if it was good or bad. The mother, meanwhile, carried her sorrow like a secret burden. She worked long hours at her job, came home tired and still tried to keep food on the table. But sometimes, when she thought the boy was not looking, she touched the empty space on the couch where her husband used to sit. Her hand lingered there, shaking softly, as though she could still feel him. And yet in her silence, there was something else, not just grief, a quiet strength. She kept moving forward, step by step, though her heart was shattered. The boy admired her. He wanted to protect her. He wanted to be strong like his father had once been, but he was only a child. His small body felt powerless in the face of her endless pain. Still, the world was changing around them. Strange signals had started appearing on the old television. Lines of static, flickering lights, whispers of voices that were not human. Sometimes, when the mother was half asleep in her chair, the boy sat close to the screen, staring at the strange patterns. They looked like stars, like maps, like something trying to speak. He wondered if the signals had anything to do with his father. Had his father truly left, or had something taken him? The mother never spoke of such things, and she avoided the questions. But her eyes, when she looked at the stars at night, carried a strange glow, a mix of sorrow and waiting, as if she expected an answer to come from the sky itself. The boy began to believe she was not just crying for her lost husband. She was calling. She was calling out into the universe, even if she did not know it. And perhaps, just perhaps, something out there was listening. The broken home was not just a place of sadness. It had become a place of quiet power, a place where human pain echoed so loudly that even the stars seemed to lean closer. The boy did not know it yet, but the walls of that house were about to witness something no other home on earth would see. The universe was not blind, and grief, in its purest form, could open doors that were never meant to open. The night was heavy with silence. The boy lay in bed, his eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling again. His mother had cried earlier, but now even her sobs were gone. The house was still, too still. It was the kind of silence that pressed against the ears, making the heart beat louder. Then came a sound, a soft knock, not on the door but on the window. Tap, tap, tap. The boy sat up quickly, his breath caught in his throat. He turned toward the window. The curtain swayed through the air was dead. His chest tightened. For weeks he had felt it, something outside, something watching. Tonight it was closer. He whispered his mother's name, but the words died in his mouth. His fear was heavy, but his curiosity was stronger. Slowly, he slid out of bed and crept toward the window. When he pulled the curtain aside, his breath froze. A figure stood there, tall, dark, not human, but not monstrous either. Its body shimmered, as if it were made of shadow and light woven together. Its eyes glowed faintly, not threatening but ancient, filled with stories untold. The boy stumbled backward, his heart hammering. He wanted to scream for his mother, but the figure raised a hand, slowly, gently. No weapon, no attack, only a calm motion. Oh, as if saying, wait. The boy's lips trembled. Who are you? He whispered. The figure tilted its head. Its voice, when it spoke, was strange, low, layered, as if more than one being spoke through it. Do not fear, I am not here to harm you. The boy's knees shook, but something in the voice made him stop running. It was not the voice of a monster. It was the voice of something that had traveled far, carrying both sadness and wisdom. Behind him, a floorboard creaked. His mother had woken. She appeared in the doorway, her tired eyes wide with shock when she saw the figure outside. Her hand flew to her mouth, but she did not scream. Instead, she froze. The figure turned its gaze to her. For a long moment, no one moved. Then the being spoke again. "You are not alone." Those words hit her like a storm. Her knees buckled and she gripped the wall for support. The boy looked at her, confused. He had never seen his mother stare at anyone like that, not even his father. The figure slowly pushed the window open, though it had been locked. The glass did not break. The frame did not crack. It was as if the air itself allowed the being to step inside. The boy backed away, pressing against the wall, but his mother did not move. Her eyes filled with tears, but not the same tears she cried at night. These were different, tears of something between fear and hope. The being stood in the small room, taller than the ceiling should allow, yet somehow it fit. Its form shifted slightly, like smoke trying to become solid. It looked at the mother, then at the boy, then back to the mother again. "You call to the stars," it said softly. "We hear you." The mother shook her head. I didn't call anyone," she whispered. The figure's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "Your grief is not silent. Your heart cries beyond this world. That is why I am here." The boy's skin prickled. He oaked at his mother, searching her face for answers, but she only stared at the visitor, trembling. "Why?" she asked in a broken voice. "Why me?" "Because humans are rare," the being replied. "You are fragile, yet you endure. You are broken, yet you rise. The universe listens when you suffer, and sometimes it answers." The boy's fear began to change. The being's words made his chest ache, but also swell with something strange, pride. He stepped forward, his small fists clenched. "Did you take my father?" he demanded. The figure paused. Its glowing eyes softened, as if heavy with knowledge. "No," it said slowly, "but I know where he is." The room froze. His mother's hand gripped the wall so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Where?" she whispered. The being did not answer right away. Instead, it stepped closer, lowering itself so its glowing eyes were level with the boy's. "Your father walked into a war not meant for humans. He was taken, not by choice. He is alive. For now." The boy's heart pounded. Alive. The word echoed in his head. His father was alive. But the being's last words chilled him. For now. His mother covered her face, her sobs breaking the silence again, but this time different. Not the sobs of hopelessness, the sobs of truth. The visitor stood quietly watching them, then it spoke again. "You need strength. You need someone beside you. That is why I am here." The boy did not know what it meant. Husband? Protector? Stranger? He only knew one thing. Their lives had changed forever. And as the night pressed on, he realized the universe was no longer far away. It had stepped into their home. The house no longer felt the same. It was no longer only a place of sorrow. It had become a place where secrets breathed. The strange visitor sat in the dim light of the small living room. The boy and his mother kept their distance, their hearts caught between fear and curiosity. The visitor did not rush. It watched them quietly, as though measuring their courage. Its glowing eyes dimmed and brightened like a slow heartbeat. "Finn. Ally," it spoke, its voice carrying the weight of many worlds. "You must understand," it began. "Your pain has been heard beyond the stars. Humans are not as small as you believe." The boy frowned. "We are just people. We live here. We suffer. We die. What is so special about that?" The visitor's head tilted. "Exactly that. You endure. You rise again even after being broken. Other races are strong in body, others in mind. But humans have something more dangerous. You hope, even when all hope should be gone. That hope moves others. That is why you are feared. That is why you are hunted." The mother's breath caught in her throat, her trembling hands folded in her lap. "Feared. We are nothing. We are poor. We are forgotten even by our own." The being stepped closer, its body shifted like smoke trying to become solid. "And yet here you are, still alive, still fighting every day. Even in your grief, you do not surrender. That is power. The universe feels it. The warlords feel it. Even your husband felt it." The boy's eyes widened. "My father?" The visitor turned its gaze toward him. He was taken because he carried the same strength. He was not abandoned by accident. He was chosen. The mother's face twisted in pain. "Chosen? You call it chosen? He is gone. He left us broken. How can you say that is a gift?" The visitor lowered its head, its voice softened. "Because he still lives. and because his choice, or his capture, was not meaningless. He is part of something far larger than you know. The boy's fists tightened. Tell me the truth. Where is he? The being hesitated. The room grew colder, as if the air itself was listening. He is in the grasp of those who seek to erase your kind. They believe humans should never rise. They want to break the spirit of humanity before it spreads across the stars. Your father is their prisoner. The mother gasped, her yes filled with tears again, but this time with fire behind them. He is alive, after all this time, alive. The visitor nodded slowly. But for how long, I cannot say. The boy's heart beat wildly. Alive. The word echoed again, but now it was wrapped in fear. His father lived, but in chains, far beyond his reach. The mother wiped her tears, her voice trembling but stronger. Why tell us this? Why come here at all? We are weak. We cannot save him. We cannot fight wars among stars. The being's eyes glowed brighter, like twin suns. You are not weak. That is the lie they want you to believe. Your grief is proof. Your sorrow has power. The universe bends toward voices that refuse to be silent. And now, you must choose. Stay in despair, or rise and fight for what is yours. The boy's chest rose and fell quickly. He looked at his mother, her face pale but glowing faintly in the strange light. For the first time, he saw not only her sadness, but her strength. She was tired, but she was not broken. The visitor stepped closer still, lowering its form until it almost looked human. Its voice dropped to a whisper. Your father's blood runs in you. His courage is yours. The galaxy will not ignore you. That is the hidden truth. The boy felt fire in his veins. His father was alive. His mother was stronger than she knew. And he, small, afraid, powerless, was suddenly more than just a child. He was part of something greater. But fear still clung to him. If we are so powerful, he whispered, why do we suffer like this? Why does my mother cry every night? The visitor's eyes dimmed, and for the first time its voice carried sorrow. Because power is born from pain, because hope is forged in loss, the universe does not choose easy paths for those it needs most. The mother looked away, tears running down her face, but this time she did not hide them. She let them fall openly, her heart no longer locked in silence. The visitor straightened, its form glowing faintly. Your home is not broken. It is becoming something new. Remember this. Grief see and destroy, but it can also awaken. The boy swallowed hard. He knew the visitor spoke the truth, even if it frightened him. His small fists unclenched. He touched his mother's hand, and for the first time in months she did not pull away. She held it tightly, as though the fire inside her had been reignited. The room was silent again, but it was not the silence of despair. It was the silence before change. The boy whispered, almost to himself, we are not alone. The visitor's glowing eyes softened. No, and you never were. Days passed and the visitor did not leave. It did not demand, it did not shout, it did not rule the house like a conqueror. Instead, it stayed quietly, moving through the rooms like a shadow that somehow brought light. At first, the boy hated its presence. He watched it with narrowed eyes, ready to shout or fight if it made his mother cry again. But the strange thing was, it didn't. For the first time in many nights, his mother's tears began to lessen. She still carried her sadness, but her face softened in ways the boy had not seen since his father left. The visitor helped in small ways. When the old lamp flickered, it touched the wires and the light steadied. When the water pipe hissed and leaked, it passed its hand over the metal and the water ran clear again. The house, once broken, began to feel alive. The boy wanted to ask how it did these things, but he stayed silent. He told himself, it is not human. It does not belong here. But his mother's eyes told another story. She began to look at the visitor with something more than fear. She looked at it the way she once looked at his father, with a quiet warmth, a cautious hope. One evening, as they sat together at the small table, the boy noticed his mother laugh softly at something the visitor said. The sound was strange, almost shocking. It had been so long since laughter lived in that house. The boy's chest tightened. He wanted to be happy for her, but instead he felt something sharp. Was she replacing his father? He clenched his fists under the table. Later that night, when his mother had gone to bed, the boy stood in the doorway, staring at the visitor who sat motionless in the living room. Its glowing eyes dimmed, as though it were at rest. Gathering courage, the boy whispered harshly, "Why are you here? Really?" The visitor's eyes flickered open. It looked at him with patience. "I told you, your grief called to the stars. I came because she needs someone beside her." She doesn't need you, the boy snapped. She has me. The visitor tilted its head. You are brave, but you are still a child. You cannot carry her loneliness alone. Do not mistake this. She does not forget your father. She does not replace him. She simply needs to breathe again. The boy's anger softened into confusion. And you think you can give her that? The being's form shifted faintly, light and shadow blending. Perhaps, or perhaps I only remind her that she is not forgotten. The boy looked down, his chest heavy. He wanted to believe, but fear held him. Fear that his father, still alive somewhere, would return only to find a stranger in his place. The days continued. The visitor remained. It did not sleep, yet it never seemed tired. Sometimes it stood outside at night, looking at the sky as if speaking to distant worlds. Sometimes it sat silently in the corner, watching his mother as she cooked or cleaned, but never in a threatening way, more like a guardian. Slowly, the mother changed. She began to eat more. Her shoulders lifted a little higher. Her voice grew less fragile. She even began to sing again when she thought no one was listening. The boy noticed. He could not deny it. She was stronger now, and it was because of the visitor. But inside, he still battled with doubt. One night, when the stars were bright and sharp, he overheard his mother speaking softly to the visitor. Her voice was low, filled with both pain and warmth. You don't understand, she whispered. When he left, I thought I died too. Every night I cried, and I thought no one heard me. But you heard. The visitor's voice was steady. Your pain traveled farther than you know. It touched worlds. It touched me. And now, you are not alone. There was silence. Then the boy heard it, her laughter, soft but real. The sound filled him with both relief and fear. Later, the boy sat awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling again. His thoughts spun like a storm. He wanted his father back. He wanted his mother happy. He wanted the visitor gone, but also, he saw the truth. His mother was healing. He whispered to himself, I don't trust you, but maybe she needs you. The visitor, standing silently in the shadows of the room, heard him. It did not reply, but its glowing eyes softened, as if it understood. The bond between the mother and the visitor was growing stronger. A bond built not on lies but on shared sorrow and the faint light of hope. But bonds can bring danger too, and though the house now felt alive again, something outside in the darkness stirred, watching, waiting. The boy did not know it yet, but their fragile peace was about to be tested. The nights had grown calmer inside the house. The mother no longer cried as often, and the visitor's presence had brought a strange peace. But outside, the air grew heavier. The boy could feel it when he stepped into the yard, when he walked to school, even when he tried to sleep. It was as if something waited in the dark, circling them like wolves around a fire. The visitor knew. Its glowing eyes lingered on the horizon every evening. Sometimes it would step outside and stand still for hours, watching the sky, its body shifting faintly as if preparing. Then one night, the storm came. It began with a sound, not thunder, not wind. A low hum, deep and heavy, shaking the air. He boy sat up in bed, his heart pounding. The window glowed faintly with strange lights, colors that did not belong to Earth. He ran to his mother's room. She was already awake, her face pale, eyes wide with fear. The visitor stood in the living room, its form brighter than ever. They have come, it said, voice like stone breaking. The boy's throat went dry. Who? The ones who hold your father, the visitor answered. They have tracked me here, and now they know you. The walls shook. Outside, lights slashed across the sky, ships dark and sharp, tearing through the night like predators. A loud crack split the air as the ground trembled. The mother grabbed her son's hand. We have to run. No, the visitor said firmly. There is no running. They would follow. You must stand. Before she could argue, the roof groaned. A blast of light struck the ground outside, shaking the windows. The boy screamed as shadows moved through the smoke. Shapes, tall, armored, carrying weapons that glowed with cruel fire. The door burst open. The mother pulled her son behind her, her body trembling, but she stood tall. The invaders stepped inside. Their voices were sharp, metallic, speaking a language the boy could not understand, but he did not need to know their words to feel the threat. Their weapons pointed at his mother, at him. The visitor moved. Its body flared with light, brighter than before. This is not your ground, it said. The invaders snarled, their weapons humming. One fired. A beam of fire streaked across the room. The boy screamed, but the visitor raised its hand. The beam split apart, scattering into harmless sparks. The invaders froze in shock. The battle began. The visitor lunged, moving faster than eyes could follow. Light and shadow twisted into sharp edges as it struck, disarming one invader and sending him crashing through the wall. Another fired, but the mother, still clutching her son, pulled him to the floor as the blast scorched the ceiling. The boy's heart hammered. He wanted to hide, but he would not stop watching. His chest swelled with fear and something else. Pride. The visitor fought, but not like a machine. It fought with fire, with purpose, with something that felt human. One invader turned toward the mother and boy. The weapon lifted. Time slowed. "No!" the boy shouted. The visitor spun, faster than thought, blocking the blast with its own body. The impact shook the room. The visitor staggered but did not fall. Its glowing eyes dimmed, then flared brighter. "Do you see?" it roared, voice echoing like thunder. "This is humanity's strength. You fight not for power, not for conquest. You fight for each other." The invaders hesitated, as if the words struck deeper than any weapon. But their hesitation lasted only a breath. They attacked again, furious, desperate. The mother shielded her son, whispering prayers through trembling lips. Yet inside her, something stirred. She was no soldier, no fighter, but she stood tall, unbroken, as the storm raged in her home. The boy clung to her, his eyes wide with fire. For the first time, he felt it, the truth the visitor had spoken. Humans endure. Even in the face of monsters, they refuse to break. The battle reached its peak. The visitor unleashed a wave of light, slamming the invaders back, their weapons falling silent. Smoke filled the room, walls cracked, the floor burned. When the dust settled, the surviving invaders retreated into the night, their ships screaming across the sky. They had not won. They had not broken the humans. The house was in ruins, the air stank of smoke and ash, but inside, the boy and his mother still stood. The visitor weakened, knelt in the broken room. Its voice was soft, almost fading. "Now you understand. They fear you not because you are strong in body, but because you cannot be broken. Your father knew this. That is why he was taken. That is why they will return." The emo there sank to her knees, holding her son tightly. Her tears fell, but they were not the same tears of sorrow. They were tears of defiance, of fire. The boy clenched his fists, his heart burning. He looked at the broken door, at the dark sky beyond. "If they come again," he whispered, "we will fight." The visitor's glowing eyes softened. "Yes, you will. That is the great conflict, not of weapons, not of armies, but of spirit." The house was broken again, but something stronger had risen inside it. And though danger still circled, though war still burned beyond the stars, the boy knew one thing with absolute certainty. Humans would not bow. The house smelled of smoke for many days after the battle. The walls were cracked, the furniture broken, and the windows shattered. Yet inside, the family did not feel defeated. They were tired, shaken, but stronger than before. The boy sat on the steps outside, staring at the sky. The stars seemed brighter now, closer, as if they were listening. His heart was restless. His father was still out there somewhere, alive but in danger. The thought burned in him like fire. Behind him, his mother swept the floor. Her hands trembled, but her face was different. The sadness was still there, but no longer heavy. It was sharper now, like a blade turned toward the future. She no longer cried every night. She no longer whispered only to the past. She carried hope again. The visitor remained, though weakened from the fight. Its light flickered at times, its voice softer, as though each word cost energy. Yet it stayed, as if bound to them by something stronger than duty. One evening, as the sky turned gold with sunset, the mother finally asked the question that had haunted her for years. "Tell me the truth," she said, her voice calm but firm. "What happened to my husband?" The visitor lowered its head. For a long time, it did not speak. Then slowly it answered. "He was taken in the first strike of the war. They wanted to test him, to see if a human could break. They thought your grief would finish the work. And they were wrong." The mother's hands tightened around the broom. Her eyes glistened, but no tears fell. "Alive?" The visitor nodded. "Yes, alive, but chained. He fights, even in silence. He holds on because of you, because of your memory, your love. That is why he endures." The boy's heart pounded. His father was not gone, not lost forever. Somewhere in the stars, he still fought. The visitor looked at the boy. "And he is waiting. Not for me, not for warriors. For you, for the fire that burns in your kind." The boy clenched his fists, his small body trembling. He was too young, too small. Yet inside, he felt something vast, a spark that could grow into fire. His mother stepped closer to the visitor. "Why tell us this now? Why not before?" "Because you were not ready," the being said gently. "Grief can blind, but now you see. You know what they fear, and you know what you are." The house grew silent. Outside, the wind rustled the broken trees. The boy looked at his mother. She no longer looked fragile. She stood tall, her eyes fierce, her shoulders strong. He whispered, "You're not broken anymore." She touched his face with a trembling hand, her lips curving into a soft smile. "No, I am not." That night, the three of them sat together under the stars. The visitor's glow lit the yard, casting long shadows. The mother held her son close, and for the first time in many months, she felt warmth instead of emptiness. The boy tilted his head back, staring at the endless sky. "Will we see him again?" he asked softly. The visitor's eyes dimmed, then brightened with quiet certainty. "Yes, but not without struggle. The path is long, and the war is not done. Yet every step you take, every tear, every smile, it reaches him. It gives him strength to keep fighting." The mother closed her eyes, letting the truth sink deep. Her heart still ached, but now it was an ache filled with purpose. She was no longer just a woman abandoned. She was part of something greater, something the stars themselves could hear. The boy spoke again, his voice steady. "We will bring him home." The visitor studied him, its eyes glowing with something almost like pride. "That is the spirit they cannot kill. That is why humanity will never be erased, because even in the darkest night, you speak of tomorrow." The wind carried silence across the yard, but it was not the silence of despair. It was the silence of promise. From that night on, the mother did not cry herself to sleep. She still carried pain, but it no longer crushed her. Instead, it drove her forward. Each day she grew stronger. Each night she looked at the stars not with sorrow, but with quiet defiance. The boy too changed. He no longer felt powerless. He was small, yes, but he knew he was part of something far larger. His father's blood was in him, his mother's courage beside him, and the visitor's guidance before him. The house was broken, but the family was not. They had become more than survivors. They had become a flame in the darkness, a reminder that humanity could not be silenced. And somewhere, far away, in chains among enemies, a man held on. His body was weak, but his heart was unbroken. In the silence of captivity, he felt something, an echo of voices he loved, carried to him across the stars. He opened his eyes, whispered his wife's name, and smiled. The war was not over. The road ahead was full of danger, but hope had been lit, and once hope is lit, it cannot be put out. The mother, the boy, and the visitor stood together at the edge of tomorrow. And the universe, vast and cold, leaned closer to listen.